Hey Vera, it's Marcos. I just wanted to make you a quick video to give you some feedback on the deck you sent me. So thank you so much for putting this together and taking my further instructions and trying to follow them as close as you can. It's what you've done so far is good, but there's a couple of things in the order that aren't right, and there are a couple of things that are still missing. So I wanted to just show you um, how to take the next step here so that on Wednesday we can be ready to have you'll be completely ready to have the full discussion. So let's so great. So you got a cover page, that's great. You have an overview page with a little note here on your goals for yourself. And then you have a summary page here of Alice in Wonderland. If you could also consider a little further to add to this, think about what are the lessons that the story is teaching? What's the moral of the story? Like, what is it that we learn from this book? What that is important to know so that we can then know what we're trying to say with your cover that will apply to kids today. So, is it about curiosity and how going to some place unfamiliar can make you stronger, can be scary at first, but can make you stronger? Think about what that might be or research what that is. What was the author trying to teach us? So add that in as well. Um, and then I think you'll have this, but that's a very important part of this to know what is it that we're trying to learn. And then when you go to page 4 here, you're kind of out of order. Like this is, well, actually, this is the headline says past design executions, but I think you just have the wrong headline because these are your designs. So I would move this page um, to the end, and instead I would switch it with page 7 because the next thing we should see is the research. So you go from what the book is about and its lesson to the past covers. And then also, if I would also like to ask, all these are pretty old and in a good way. I would make these a little smaller, move it up, and add another row of contemporary um, covers, covers that were done in the 20th century or that were done in the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Like find covers that are newer, and have those to compare. So put together an additional 4 or 5 of those. Um, and then next shouldn't be this page. It should be this page here should move over so that well, actually you're missing a page. So before we get to any of this, you're going to have the past covers, and then you're going to have the section you're missing is design inspiration. And you have the title here, but you don't have visual research. So the statement is good, but it needs to first start with visual research. So you're missing a page, and that would be doing research on design inspiration of techniques, of methodologies, of ways of designing, of examples of things that you like. So what I asked you to do in the email was to go to sites like Pinterest or sites like Design Inspiration. And I gave you this link here, designspiration.com. And for example, so if you go to this site, you can if you scroll down, they just show you a bunch of like a lot of at first random different inspirations. And this is a great way for you to like take a look at ideas that other designers have done. This has been curated, it's been put together so that it's like just cool design. You don't have to look through like bad things. I mean, not that bad things aren't here, but I want you to like use this site. And so for example, you're talking about this idea of like falling. Your illustration is about the idea of falling. Like how is falling been shown in contemporary design. So they have a search thing here. If you type falling into the search bar, then it'll give you like different visuals that connect with the idea of falling. And so you have to, if you look through, you'll find something like this, for example. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. So what you do is you take a screenshot or you download it or however it works, you collect and you keep that and you start making a folder with images in it that connect to falling, and you continue to look and you see like, oh, and I'm not saying any of these are good ideas, but you like say, oh, here's a way of showing falling with lines. So maybe you want to save that and begin to get research on how you can show falling in different ways. Um, and I think you can even put falling woman if you want to get more specific. Falling girl, how about? Um, And there's photography, so you don't have to don't ignore the things that aren't relevant. But like here, like this has got interesting body motions, and it also shows a style of illustration. Like it uses line art, it uses thicker shadows, it uses the dots in the hair, and these are things that you might not have thought of that you might want to use in your technique. So you want to get examples of the kind of technique you want to draw. So you save this, and little by little, by doing this, and another thing, like once you go to a page like this, if you scroll on, then there's more below it that will go into a different version of the search. So then you might find something on the list and go, oh wow, this is interesting. You can draw somebody falling and create a pattern over them. I mean, maybe that's something you want to do, maybe not, but if it's interesting, save it. So continue to look through sites like this to make mood boards, and don't feel that it has to necessarily be exactly, it's not going to be exactly what you're doing. I'm not asking you to find stuff to copy. It's about finding things to give you inspiration, also give you ideas or give you examples of how you can use a technique. So go through this site and try to find different ways that, and you might get distracted by saying, oh, this is interesting. You can combine type with an image, and that might be something that is interesting to you. So you might want to save that. But once you've saved a bunch of these images, once you see different techniques, you then begin to think about how this might influence what you're going to do with your idea. So it's about having a little bit of a wider angle on what you want to do and not be so fixed on the idea of creating your illustration right away. And that's what I was trying to discourage you from doing, is not just begin to illustrate until you have inspiration collected, until you have ideas. Here you see like, oh, I like this idea of creating a silhouette of something. It could be like the silhouette of a falling girl instead of a leaf. So it's a shape of a girl, and the inside of that could be another illustration. So if you collect things like this, you begin to get those kinds of ideas that will help inspire you and lead you towards creating a design that might be something you would have never thought of. But because you bring together inspiration and you put them together and we talk about it on Wednesday, then we can get to the point where you are open to new ideas for how to create your design. So that's why I didn't want you to be rushing the first week or the second week into design. I want you to learn how to be open-minded about what's possible, to look at techniques and discuss them together with me by showing me your mood boards, the pages that are missing in your deck. Okay, so let's just go back to your page really quick. So then have your statement here, and maybe your statement will change once you have done this. And then after that, you can have your two, and actually this one will be first, right? This is the first round, and then this is the second round. So just the order is important here. So make sure you change the order. And there's a beautiful thank you page. So I appreciate that. Okay, so hopefully this helps. And if you have any more questions, send me an email. And if not, we can just be ready to present this to me on Wednesday, and we'll talk further about it. All right. Thanks so much, Vera. We'll see you soon.